Well, a little rain did not stop this offense from having a day. We are going to talk about road improvements, a bullpen game that got the job done, and so much more coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the DLLS Rangers studio. Happy to be with you. Abby Jones joined with Jeff Wilson, and we've got the Prophet. We're going to start this with offensive improvements and road improvements because the Rangers got the series today. Before beginning this 9-game road trip, they had one of the worst road records in baseball, but they're starting to pick things up, turn things around.
Yeah, it's still really bad. I don't think it's the worst in baseball, but it's now 11-22, which is .333 if I'm doing the math correctly, and that's not good enough. And they still have 3 more games. They're going to the Twins after. Well, they're going there tonight. Off day tomorrow. But the offense did enough. Also left a lot on the table. But a bullpen day, and Jake Latz did a really nice job, as did the rest of the guys. But good for Jake. Doesn't get the win, of course, because he didn't go the distance. Although that rule needs to be changed. If pitchers these days aren't going 5 innings regularly, but they're doing the bulk of the work. Oh, maybe that's just me. But yeah, it's a good win, and it's 2 in a row on the road. It's their 3rd road series win of the season. First since they beat the best team in baseball, the Tigers, last month, about this time a month ago. So pretty crazy that this team continues to struggle overall. But, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for any kind of glimmer of hope, maybe a series win, even against the Nationals, who are playing really good at home, by the way. Maybe this is it.
Yeah, Jacob Latz today, 2nd start of his career. First was his actual MLB debut. He set a career high in strikeouts today, 7 strikeouts. I mean, he went longer than expected. He probably could have gone even longer. Let's take a look at these numbers. 3 1/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run that was home run, 2 walks, 7 Ks, like I mentioned before. Exited the game due to an injury, maybe a cut or a blister on the thumb.
Yeah, I think they were going to get him anyway, but I think that the blister put any doubt out of their minds. And his MLB debut was at Cleveland in 2021, and he it was during a COVID outbreak, and the Rangers had to use the exempt rule where they could add guys to the 40-man roster and then take them off without having to put them on waivers. So Jake Latz had to start a game, and so he was added to the 40-man roster. Next day he was back at AAA. He pitched pretty well in that start too, I remember, and then became more of a full-time reliever. Bruce Bochy before the game said that he thinks Latz could be a starter. He has 4 good pitches. He throws hard, not stretched out enough maybe to go too far today, but hey, they'll take it. He helped the Rangers win the ball game. And once again, this team allowed 2 runs. Fantastic work by the pitching staff yet again. And the Rangers, I think I saw this. They're now 23-4 when they score 4 runs.
Yeah,
just 4 runs.
4 is the magic number.
23-4. That's pretty darn good. That tells you how A, good the pitching's been, and B, how bad the offense has been.
And it's just behind the Detroit Tigers with that record. They're the best team in that regard. But yeah, 4 does seem to be the magic number. The bullpen did an excellent job today. 5 arms combined for 9 Ks. Like you mentioned, the 2 runs there. But I was really impressed to see that from Jake Latz. And do you think he knew he could go that far? I mean,
Lance has had a hell of a career. He was this great, highly regarded kid in college, went to LSU, ended up dealing with an injury they couldn't pin down. And LSU finally was like, look, we don't think you're hurt. And he ended up transferring to Kent State, where I believe he was declared ineligible, if I'm not mistaken. He never really pitched for him, but he credits the coaches at Kent State for help turning him around, getting him healthy, and getting him onto the path to the major leagues. And he's a little bit older. He's not a spry 22-year-old. He's a little old on the older side, still in his 20s. But all these guys have different paths, and you think they might be a starter in college, and they end up being a reliever. He's just glad to be in the majors, and he didn't open the season with the Rangers, though he made a late push. He was hurt in spring training, didn't really get a chance to pitch. They sent him out, and then he made the trip to Arlington. We were all kind of surprised by it, and now we see why. He's now a kind of a guy in the bullpen who they're using. Yes, in long rolls, but they used him the other day in the 8th inning in a key spot. So good deal, and a really good kid. So glad for Jake Latz, and he's a really good golfer.
He's a good golfer.
Yeah, great golfer.
Did you golf with him?
I have not, but I heard he's very, very good. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I think we have to talk about Evan Carter today. I mean, triple shy of the cycle. Also, Jake Berger, triple shy of the cycle as well.
Well, that's pretty good. And sometimes it is only two guys that are doing it, and the Rangers were 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and that 6th inning was really frustrating because the 3 misses were all strikeouts, 2 by left-handed hitters, and you just are like kind of kicking yourself, thinking, here we go again. Here's the chance that the Rangers missed. Then on a bullpen day with no margin for error, something bad is going to happen, and sure enough. I think it was the 6th, possibly the 7th, opened up with an error, and I think the 6th opened with a hit, and then the 7th opened with an error, or there was an error in the 8th. It was the 8th by Josh Smith. So you're thinking, oh boy, here comes the kick in the shorts. But the bullpen did a great job. Robert Garcia got the last 4 outs. I think the last time we saw Robert, he had blown a save there in Tampa. Messy inning with that bad play at first base to end it, and then this is a return home for him too. Everybody talks about Patrick Corbin coming home and the Rangers facing Nathaniel Lowe. Robert Garcia was the guy in the Lowe trade, and he acquitted himself nicely today. So, and he was pretty fired up. He showed some emotion too. So, just not a perfect game by any stretch by the Rangers because of the runners in scoring position thing, but a win is a win. It'll be a happy flight. It'll be a nice off day tomorrow. Everybody gets to reset. The bullpen gets to reset, and then they'll go into Target Field where the Twins are really good at home, and we'll get into them a little bit later.
Oh yeah, and it's just one thing today that the game didn't end in a shutout. It was a flip flop.
Yeah.
For this series, and it's like we said, scoring those 4 runs kind of is the magic number for the Rangers because. They kind of discussed this earlier on the broadcast, but they're, they're just above 6 runs per game.
Combined.
Yeah, which is nuts. The worst of the divisional era. But when you pair it, so just explain this to Rangers fans. Like this starting rotation it only trails the Mets for Major League ERA. I mean, it's a 2.8. The Mets are, if you want to get really technical, 2.84, and then the Rangers are 2.88, and then the overall rotation only behind the Mets and the Giants.
Staff. Yeah.
So when you compare that and the compliment of it, or really not even the compliment, but the Rangers are 3-ish runs a game, maybe on a really good day. 28th in the majors in that. I mean, it's really tough when your starting rotation is that dialed in. Heck, even your bullpen day is a good day.
Yeah, you talk about football. You hear we need to play complementary football. They need to be good on both sides of the ball and help each other out and all that stuff. The Rangers aren't getting complementary baseball if
Correct.
that's a thing. and it's nothing new. You go back to that. The Rangers won their first road series. It was at Cincinnati, and they lost the first game. Rocker got knocked around, and then they won 2 games 1-0. And at that time, we're like, oh yeah, it's still early. This offense is going to get going. It's cold there in Cincinnati. It's hard to hit when it's cold. And then they went to Chicago and lost 2 out of 3 at Wrigley, and it was cold. And that was kind of when Tyler Mahle emerged, and we kept coming up with these I don't know, excuses, I guess, for the offense, or those were our beliefs, at least, the reasoning for them not hitting. Well, now we're 2 months into the season, and it's like, all right, these guys have a problem. This could be who they are.
Identity.
But if that's the case, then the pitching is who they are. And you look at DeGrom yesterday. He was so good. I mean, that's as good as he's been in a while. And in 2023, had a couple really good starts for the Rangers before he got hurt. But that was just easy. It was like it was like he hardly broke a sweat. And of course, he was sweating a ton. But it was just easy, short innings. He could strike a guy out whenever he wanted to. It was like he was just kind of toying with them. And had it been, if he hadn't been coming off of Tommy John surgery, I think they would have let him finish it. He was just cruising. So the offense has to get going, as we know. We saw Evan Carter with the nice game today. Jake Berger, good game. Marcus Semien continues to get hits, and he's been one of the best hitters in the game since basically for a week.
May 30th,
yeah, and hitting over 500 in that stretch, and he's shown
Aaron Judge, who?
Yeah, right, exactly. He's shown some power. Just him getting on base and doing things like yesterday. He was responsible for 4 of the 5 runs. That's just so critical for this team. Now they got to get Corey Seager going, who's in a career-long 0 for 25 slump. Yeah. So that tells you how good Corey Seager is. He's never had a slump like this. And 0 for 25 is basically 5 or 6 games, and that happens a lot, but it doesn't happen to Corey Seager. And I thought he was better today, and he's seeing the ball well. I thought he had some good takes, so that's a good sign. It's just a matter of getting the timing down, which could happen at any moment. When it does, he's going to take off. Right. So, if you can take Semien and a Seager and an Evan Carter, and if you can count on Berger for a 250 average, let's say, and an occasional power. All right, well, there's 4 of your 9. Okay. Then Sam Haggerty looks like he's kind of a spark plug. I think Osuna probably needs to go back to AAA at this point. He's really kind of gone cold. But then who are you going to call up? Well, Justin Foskey's been pretty good lately since coming off the injured list. And
wrote an article about
Cody Freeman's been fantastic. He's not on the 40-man, but he's been great. And so, I mean, there are options and guys who you could call up and whatnot. But it looks like if Semien can lead the charge, if Semien can get hot, and if he can bring some other guys with him, then the offense is going to get better. And if the pitching stays as it is, as it appears, then maybe this team has a chance to climb back a little bit more in the standings and get a little bit closer to playoff contention and force the front office to make a decision when we get to the trade deadline and whether or not to be bigger buyers than they were last year and to not sell, because they do have some guys they could sell.
Yeah. Let's go back to that Semien point. Like you said, as of the last week, one of the best in baseball, no doubt, above 500 average, first in on-base percentage, first in OPS, and second in runs. I know it's a small sample size, but still it's something. And also, this was, Marcus Semien was number 1, Seager number 2.
Right.
Like forever since we've known.
Yeah.
For the last 2 games, he's been batting in that cleanup position. First time in his career he's been asked to do so.
Mm-hmm.
It's working well. Mike Bassick made a prediction that this is where he's going to be for the rest of the season. What do you think about that?
Well, if guys are getting on base in front of him, it's great. Those like the other night, he hit 2 solo home runs. He wasn't batting 4th; he was batting 6th or 8th. I don't recall. But solo home runs don't get you beat. And sure enough, the Rays ended up winning that game because the Rangers hit 3 solo home runs instead of, maybe a 2-run homer in there or a 3-run homer. It was nice to see somebody on base ahead of Carter for his home run today. It's just, it is, and I know not everybody likes to hear this, and this is, a state that evolves around football and the urgency that comes with playing only one game a week. But it's only June. The Rangers haven't hit the halfway point yet of their season. They have more than 90 games to go. There is plenty of time for them to get hot for, if you believe in the old adage that offense heats up as the weather heats up, and, that's kind of, you can apply that to some players from Latin America, like Big Papi used to always say that, and maybe some older players. The Rangers are an old team. Maybe some older players need it to be a little bit warmer. But Simeon, he said it yesterday on the walk-off interview with Laura. This is kind of like 22 to him, and he stuck with his routine, and then things started to take off. And this team has the ability. This team is better than the 22 team by a long shot. This team has the ability to be in there. And again, nobody in the West is running away with it. The Mariners gave away a game yesterday to the Angels. The Astros lost today. The Angels are hot and cold, but the Rangers have the ability to be at the top of the division and to be a playoff contender. And maybe this is what gets them going. Maybe Marcus Semien and a road series win or what get them going.
We are going to continue talking about what is sparking this offense. Maybe somebody to keep their eyes on in the next few games to come. Stick around on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Abby, I'm taking a bullet for you here and doing the Mando ad. I figure it's for men, and I don't think you can talk about our body parts quite like we can. Mando, it's the men's deodorant that takes care of all stinky male parts. You can insert them here. Mando even asks us to say stuff like balls and belly button. Grundle is what they call taint. It's taint, people. All the things where you could stink if you're a man, you need Mando. It comes in manly scents like whiskey leather.
That's
I like
scent.
both whiskey and leather. So John Radigan, who's off today, he likes to use them on his feet. Whatever works. Mando is going to help you get through like a time after the gym, or just something like that, where you got to maybe go to the grocery store all sweaty and gross, which I did the other day and ran into one of my attractive lady friends at the gym. Ran into her at the grocery store. Kind of uncomfortable. So anyway, Mando.com. Shop Mando.com, and you can get use the code DLS for $5 off your starter pack.
And on a lighter note, if you are a small business owner, LinkedIn is the place for you. Nobody works harder than you at your own business, and this is a company that is going to put in just as hard of work when they're looking for somebody to help you achieve your dreams, your goals. LinkedIn is the one-stop shop to make those hires easy, because they are going to post your job for free. You can share it with your network. You can get qualified candidates that you can manage, and it's all in one place. You just post your job, and you can pay to promote it if you'd like, which would get you more visibility, 3 times more qualified applicants. But you get qualified candidates either way. It kind of takes the guesswork out of the hiring process, I imagine. That's a daunting task.
Yeah.
And you want to hire good people. Because people do lie on their resume.
Yeah.
LinkedIn makes it a little bit tougher. You kind of got to check it out. So do that, and you can use the code Rangers, and you can go to linkedin.com/Rangers, linkedin.com/Rangers, post your job for free. Terms and conditions may apply.
We see you guys in the chats.
Oh, yeah.
Uncle Ted, we see you. See you, Todd Jones, Leon/Misty. Andres, we'll get to all of your comments a little bit later, but we're still working on this series, which was really, today was set up, if you want to look at it this way, by Patrick Corbin and Jacob deGrom. Corbin, who threw the 8-inning complete game on Friday in the 2-0 loss. deGrom, who went 7 solid yesterday, so they only had to use 2 relievers. That allowed the Rangers to do a bullpen game. Really, yeah. They made the decision yesterday, so you can thank Patrick Corbin, I guess, for today. But it goes back to Patrick Corbin, who has not allowed more than 2 runs, earned runs in any of his starts this season. Pretty good.
Yeah.
deGrom, who I think is now at 10 or 11 in a row, not allowing more than 2 runs. So those guys set it up, and now the bullpen game helps Tyler Mahle get an extra day. It helps all these guys get just a breather, catch their breath. and that's so important because they have been riding these pitchers hard. And Malley, let's not forget Malley, coming off of an injury as well, Tommy John surgery, and plus the shoulder deal. So pretty good stuff by those two guys. And again, I guess we kind of touched on this in the earlier series. Simeon, who was so good in Saturday's game. It's just, I think we thought we'd be talking about series like this a lot more than we have been. So it's kind of nice and kind of fun. I don't know. We don't really know what to do with ourselves here. Talking about all these wins and all these things. I'm trying to look for some negatives here just by nature, but
I'm the good luck charm.
Yeah, it's Abby. That's right, Abby. Good work. So, I'm sure you watched all the games. What did you think of the series?
I thought it was good. I think it's early in the season, like you said. I think it's getting to the point of what's the identity of everything. But I think the thing that's enjoyable to watch is the pitching, no doubt. I mean, you wish that the offense was a little bit more of a spark. I want to touch on that bullpen point that you mentioned, because they mentioned this in the broadcast, that the Rangers have the third fewest bullpen innings this season. The Atlanta Braves first, Tampa Bay Rays next, and the Rangers at 211 2/3. And that is because of the starting rotation, so many quality starts. And I just remember earlier this season, like, what was your bar of like a Jacob deGrom will start X amount of games? Because he's exceeded my
he's already in the double figures. The one of his last bullpens there in spring training, we were watching him. It was me and Michael Young and Colby Lewis, and I was kind of asking him, what's a good number for Jacob? And they said 160 or 170 innings. So that means that they're skipping the guy maybe once or twice or pushing him back, using, like the all-star break and off days wisely to save his bullets. And the curious thing is, in each of his last three starts, he's thrown 81 pitches exactly. So I think 80, not 81, is the magic number, and it's just worked out to be 81. But at some point, that needs to increase. I really think that he's shown that he's healthy. And I know he has also shown here the last 4 seasons that he's fragile. But it just seems like he's in a great spot. And he finally feels like he has the feel for his mechanics and the timing and all of that. If he's going to pitch like that, it'd be so tempting to not just let him go and let him go and let him go. So that's where it takes a guy who's in his 28th season managing and a renowned pitching coach like Mike Maddox, who this might be his 20th season. I think 2006 was his first season in the majors. So a lot of experience there, a lot of guys who have had to do this before and manage pitchers, and so they're doing it with deGrom. And that's an interesting note about the bullpen, because we've talked about how these guys are wearing down. Yes, they've had the third fewest relief innings in the game, but it's who they're using. And they're repeatedly having to use these high leverage guys because they're constantly in these close games. So, a 10-2 would be nice. Like last weekend against the Cardinals, those blowouts were nice.
For morale.
Yeah. Well, for morale and for, letting Robert Garcia have a day off, or Hobie Milner, even though it looks like he has a rubber arm, giving him some time off. That guy's been awesome. You kind of look at, who the best signings the Rangers have made this offseason. They're both soft throwing left-handers. Although I don't want to call Corbin soft throwing because he does get it into the 90s, but Hobie Milner sure the hell doesn't. And he just flips those frisbees up there, and he gets everybody out. Yeah. Right-handers, left-handers, doesn't matter. That's fun to see. And so I started thinking on the drive here, they have so many guys who are on one-year deals in the bullpen, and bullpens in baseball get remade all the time. But Milner, he lives right up the street. He's pitching well. If he continues like this, it seems like he'd be a no-brainer to re-sign. Give him a raise, but I don't think he's going to.
Not going to break the bank.
He's only making 2.5, I think, this year. So there are some guys. Jacob Webb has pitched better of late. There are some wobbly moments for poor Jacob there for a while, but he's been really good lately. He signed for barely over $1 million, and they're getting a lot of value out of these guys. But it was good to see Chris Martin yesterday, listening or reading his post-game comments. It sounds like the noise is still there, but the pain isn't. And once you get to 40, he's almost 40. He just turned 39 this week. Once you get up there, you learn that your body makes noises and that it's okay. And I mean, every time I stand up, my body makes a noise, but I'm not hurt. And I think he's finally realized that he's okay. He's just going to have to live with it. So that's another positive sign for our boys, and we want to see him continue to do well. We want them to win. It's good for business.
Yeah.
We
a lot
at
easier.
DLLS want more viewers and more sponsors, and we need the Rangers to be good. I mean, my website that I had took off when the Rangers won the World Series. It was great. And then last year they stunk, and it was like, these guys aren't renewing. I wonder why. So I am not against rooting for the Rangers' success. I'm not going to cheer for them every game and say, like, we got to score more runs and all of this. But my job is always easier, and it has been even before podcasts were invented. My job's always easier when the Rangers are winning or the team I'm covering is winning. Makes everybody happy, makes it easier to cover the team. And it just makes our job more fun. I mean, the chat's been a lot more active with some positive stuff today as opposed to fire Bruce Bochy that we were getting the other night.
That's
and
too far.
All of that stuff. So
that's too far.
It's nice to see like Uncle Ted there talking about lineup changes and things like that instead of constructive things instead of destructive things. Not that I'm pointing at Ted being destructive. The other night it was a guy named Joe Blow, and I kind of got mad at Joe. So Joe, if you're watching, yet again I apologize. But
I feel like the username would have given you a hint there.
Yeah, but he was a good guy because he also I apologized numerous times and he accepted my apology each time. But yeah, this is better. When the Rangers win, life is a lot better for us.
Well, you wrote an article about a certain someone that could get the offense going.
Yeah. Not yet. I wrote this, posted it during the game. The rain delay gave me a chance to get it done instead of waiting until postgame. I wrote about Sebastian Walcott. I had a nice long talk with Ross Fenstermaker about him and what he's doing well. If you follow prospects like I'm guessing some of you guys do here in the chat and watching along, not chatting, that's cool. He's number 6 prospect in baseball according to Baseball America. I think MLB has him at number 8, but they both have him as a guy who could be the number 1 prospect at some point either this year or to start next year. He's 19 years old and he's in Double-A. And I think I mentioned this the other day with John. He is, since 2006, only 2 players have a better isolated slugging percentage, which is slugging percentage minus batting average. Teenagers at Double-A. Fernando Tatis and Mike Trout.
Those are good names.
Things have worked out pretty well for those guys. Now, if you look at at Walcott's stats, you're like, all right, he's only hitting 243 entering today. His on base is pretty good though, but still, you're like, it's not like he's just screaming to be in the big league lineup, and he's not. And the Rangers aren't going to bring him up from Double-A. They want him to go to Triple-A, which they think he'll do at some point this year. If he keeps hitting the ball hard like he has been the last, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks, he's going to get a bump. So it could be a September surprise like Evan Carter was, but he has to get better. Again, I'm not calling for his promotion, but I did have it bounced to me by a scout earlier in the season that if Adolis Garcia continues to struggle and Walcott is holding his own at Double-A and maybe Triple-A, then why not move Sebastian Walcott to right field? Put him in the major leagues, let him play right field. He's athletic enough to make the position change. He definitely has the arm to play right field, and he's showing the power. But I think he still needs some more time. But I would put him on the back burner for now. I really think that the Rangers would consider him if he graduates from Double-A and does something at Triple-A that gives them hope. Evan Carter was only at Triple-A for a couple weeks,
right?
And so if Sebastian can kind of replicate that, there's a chance. But anyway, you got to be diehard to read it, and we'll tell you how to do that a little bit later.
We certainly will. All right, coming up, we are going to preview the series in Minnesota. And we are going to give you an injury update with these Texas Rangers, so stick around.
Monarch Money, they're our friends. They're going to be your friend, especially if you have trouble managing your money. Lord knows the Wilsons do. We like to spend, and
Sleeper.
Yeah. Well, hey, Sleeper, still ahead. Thank you very much. So anyway, if you're having a tough time though managing your money, Monarch Money is here to help you. Finances can be messy. They can be confusing. But Monarch can be like your own CFO and help you figure out how to save money so that you're not living to paycheck and that you're living the life you want to live while making the savings and everything that you want to live. And you can start doing that through Monarch 50% off. So if you go to monarchmoney.com, they will give you 50% off your first year. Incredible savings, a way to do it, a way to go. And if you need their help, they have been named by Wall Street Journal the best budgeting app of 2025. We're not even through the year, and it's over. The game's over. So again, monarchmoney.com, use the code DLLS, and you'll get 50% off your first year.
Well, you guys know that I'm from Alabama, and in Alabama, we like some neon signs, and we like some college football.
Some. Yeah.
We definitely like Saturday Neon because they are officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon lights, perfect for your home, your office, dorm room, fan cave, man cave, or bar. You can check out their college collections featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and only $75. It's not a bad price.
Yeah, and they'll make you one too. They'll custom make you one. Yeah.
They'll make you one. So when I first moved out here, UT to me is Tennessee.
Right.
UT out here is Texas.
Right.
So they do have y'all's UT, Texas, A&M, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State signs, tradition like no other. You can head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use the code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign.
There you go.
I do like a neon sign.
Yeah, and those LED lights are pretty cool. We have LED lights on both our kids' rooms. They think they're great. So
get the job done.
Yeah, there you go. All right, yeah. Off to Minnesota.
So this is going to be 9 games in 10 days. They get an off day tomorrow.
All right.
Off day in the middle of not the middle, but off day in a road trip is a blessing.
It is. It really can be. Off day after 6 in a row is a great off day after a bullpen day, which is part of the reason why the Rangers went ahead and went forward with it, because they knew that the bullpen would get a rest. But they're going to Minnesota. The Twins are 35-30. They're right in I think they're second behind the Tigers in the NL Central. They're looking like a playoff team. But they are going through some pitching injuries right now. They lost Pablo Lopez early last week to a shoulder injury. He's going to be out 4 months. Terrace Major, if anybody in Rangers fandom remembers the Terrace Major, that's what got Jerks and Profar in his career. Also a labrum later, but started with the Terrace Major. And then Zebby Matthews. I'm not familiar with Zebby's work, but he just went down too. So they need a starter for Tuesday. Simeon Woods Richardson might be that guy. Might be a bullpen day for them too. But one thing that kind of goes with the theme of our show, the Twins are really good at home. Yeah. They're 19-10 at Target Field. The Mighty Rangers are 11-12 on the road. So, you're thinking advantage Twins right off the bat. Elijah, we got those pitching matchups. Malley, Leiter, Corbin. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Patrick Corbin, 3-5, 3.52 ERA. Festa, not related to the Rangers' old Festa, Matt, who's now with the Guardians. Bailey Ober's an interesting one too for the Twins because his velocity's way down, so there's some injury concerns with him as well. So there might be some holes the Rangers can punch through here in Minnesota. The weather's going to be darn nice, and downtown Minneapolis can be a little bit hairy at times. The ballpark's right on the outskirts of downtown. you got to kind of walk through. I don't want to say a war zone because that takes you back to 2020, but you got to walk through a little tough part of Minneapolis to get back to your hotel room. But I think the Rangers, gotta they're gonna at least feel good and feel like they have a chance to win all of these games just because of who's starting.
Yeah. Can you finish the song lyric? 'Cause it get cold like.
I get my peaches down in Georgia.
No.
Oh.
I do that with Lud sometimes. It's always great to see.
I can't finish that song lyric.
Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
But hopefully it's not cold. So, all right. So we'll talk about Eovaldi injuries because this bullpen day did give some extra rest. So following Monday's off day, we mentioned Malley's going to start Tuesday, then lighter than Corbin. We'll go on extra days rest. Nathan Eovaldi's eligible to come off the IL on Friday.
Yeah,
which would give DeGrom extra day of rest as well.
Well, it definitely would work out. It's not. Bruce Bochy said before the game, talking to Matt Hicks, that wasn't the plan necessarily to have this bullpen game and skip that spot. Kumar Rocker being optioned has created an opening in the bullpen and the rotation and the need to shift things around. I guess it sounds like Eovaldi is not throwing off a mound yet, so he would need to do that obviously and come through without any of that triceps tightness. They might want to set up a live BP for him, which they could probably do pretty easily, but maybe Saturday would be the day for him because Jacob is, by virtue of the off day tomorrow, Jacob will have an extra day's rest. So he could pitch Friday in the home opener against the White Sox. And not have any issues. Usage would be on the extra rest instead of now. If they started Eovaldi that day, it would be 2 days rest. So I think you probably need to buy Eovaldi a little time, especially if he needs to throw a bullpen and then a live BP in there. That would give him plenty of time to get ready for Saturday or even Sunday. They could even still figure out a way to cover it with maybe another bullpen game. I mean, if the starters keep doing their job, then that would lend themselves to do that. You could go down and get a starter if you needed to. A lot of options here, but Eovaldi, again, the expectation was he would be out the minimum or very close to it. I'm sure that's what he thinks. That's what the Rangers thought before the IL move. So he's going to be back pretty soon. It just won't be in this Twin series. So, but they'll be fine. I mean, again, and you kind of look at Malley, who's been an incredibly pleasant surprise. You look at Leiter, who, without the injuries to Gray and Bradford, probably would have started in the bullpen, but now he's in the rotation, and I can't imagine even when Gray and Bradford are healthy that they would take Leiter out. And then Corbin, who's just, it's just remarkable, and he's a really good guy on top of things on top of that. And the Rangers seem to know their limit for him, though. He kind of surpassed that the other day, going 8 innings. It had been kind of, once he hits that third time through, the numbers really went up, and the Rangers would get him out. But it's also that's kind of where the Bruce Bochy, Mike Maddox thing comes in again. They don't lean strictly on the stats. They can tell if a guy's going good. Hey, let's keep him going. Let's keep him out there.
Yeah.
The old eye test. Yeah, imagine that. So. The Twins are probably a little bit better offensive club than the Nationals. So we'll see how it plays out. But again, the Rangers have to feel good every day going to the ballpark that they're going to win a game or have a chance.
Right. And it starts with the starting rotation.
Yeah.
37 days until the All-Star break. What would a successful road trip at this point do for this club?
Well, they need to sweep to have a winning road trip overall, and that's just going to be hard to do. But they could win this series, win back-to-back series. Know that in Tampa Bay they really blew 2 games, basically 2 games that they should have won and didn't.
Right.
They could feel really good about that. Then they come home and the White Sox are playing better, I guess, but it's still the White Sox, to win. You need to win.
Venable.
You need to win that series, and then the Royals after that. And the Royals are kind of like the Rangers. They're not scoring a ton of runs, although I think they got 7 today. and their pitching's been really, really good. So, that could be a lot of 2-1 ball games. Who knows?
Those are the Rangers'
know,
favorites.
Going home, and then they go back on the road, but they go to Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and they're not very good teams right now. So if they can avoid Paul Skeens, they got to like their chances there. Although the Pirates keep losing those Paul Skeens starts. I'm not sure how it went today. He started and pitched really, really well,
I think.
But
I saw a hilarious tweet. I was going to bring it up in like batting cleanup, but it said it's really hard to feel bad for like a 20-year-old.
John mentioned that the other day.
Dating a model, gonna sign like almost $1 billion contract, but man, you feel bad.
You do, and I don't. The Pirates aren't going to be able to afford that. So at some point they're going to have to trade him. Probably 3 years. This season, maybe 2 more, and then work out a trade. They've kind of hit a stretch here in the schedule where there's a chance to kind of take off a little bit here. I mean, the Nationals aren't good, and the Rangers won this series. The Twins, all right, it's going to be tough, but then again, White Sox, Royals, who have a good record but are doing it the way the Rangers are going about it. Then the Pirates,
Baltimore,
then the Baltimores,
and the Baltimores.
So you got to feel pretty good short term here.
Twice. Because it goes Seattle and then Baltimore.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, then you get a chance to play the team that's ahead, a team that's ahead of you in the division, and then the Orioles at home. So a good friendly stretch here. Then they go to the Padres, Angels, Astros, All-Star break. So there's some opportunity to make up ground, and they really need to. This is where they need to be good. This is where because if they're going to get back into the thick of things here, and if they're going to show positive signs that the offense is headed the right way, they need to do it now. The trade deadline this year falls on July 31st. It should always be on July 31st. I don't know why they started doing it like any time between these 2 days, maybe to give MLB people a day off. I don't know, but it's the 31st this year. So you got to figure that at the All-Star break, and then they come out of the All-Star break against the Tigers. So they've got to play well going into the All-Star break and probably the 2 series after to really convince ownership of what to do. So this is a big stretch. This is a really big stretch for the Rangers, and the schedule kind of favors them, is giving them a chance to win some ball games.
Yeah. What do you think is with the mental side of like pre-All-Star, post-All-Star for these players? Because like Josh Smith last year, there was a difference.
Yeah.
From pre to post.
Yeah, I mean, now in his case last year, he'd never played that much.
Right.
So you figure he'd be better equipped for doing that, and a lot of rookies will run into that. In Langford's case, let's say he took off in September. Maybe he finally felt comfortable. He was off today. He needs to start feeling comfortable again. It really is kind of weird how they have sometimes just dramatic splits, but sometimes it gives you a chance to catch your breath. These guys, if they're not on the All-Star game, they all try to get out of town and catch their breath for a little bit, get away from the game as much as possible, reset as much as they can, and come back. But there's something to it, and a lot of times it is who you're playing. A lot of time it is the schedule, the dog days. An experienced team usually gets through the dog days a little bit better. If your starting pitching has held up, that's another key factor as far as team success, individual success. Yeah, sometimes it's just a bad break here or there, or a good break here or there, and leads to a good or bad second half. So, but these games, if they're high leverage games, the Rangers have experience now of doing that, having done it in 24 and kind of scraped their way into the playoffs, kind of skidded there at the end. I think they're just positioned to be good. We just keep saying it. This team should be a lot better than it is, and it's not. But maybe things are gonna start. The sun starts smiling on a dog's butt. Maybe things are getting ready to change for them.
What a way to end that third segment. That might be on a shirt, Jeff. All right. Well, we're going to bat cleanup around things happening in Major League Baseball, and stick with us while you're at it. You're here. You're listening to these post games. I saw one guy in a chat. I don't remember whose it was, but he was like, I have a lock on my computer from like 11 to 2. He's like, it's DLLS sports all day long.
Well, I mean, that's awesome.
If you're a sports fan, this is the one-stop shop.
It is. And if you're a diehard, you can read all of our copy. We're not just podcasts. We have experienced reporters. I mean, Clarence Hill's been covering the Cowboys
longer than I've been alive.
Forever. Longer than you've been alive. Sam Nestler, it was his first year covering the Stars, but he's covered NHL teams. Tim Cato's been a fixture on the Mavs beat, I think, since he was a teenager. I've been doing this for a long, long time too. So it's seasoned reporters. We know what we're doing. We're good at our jobs, and you can become a diehard by scanning, if you're watching, the QR code on the screen, or you can go to alldls.com/join and join. $79.99 a year, pretty cheap.
And they have good deals too. So if you want to hold out, I don't know when the next one is, but we just had one of them, and it was like, how much for the?
It was $36. Yeah.
Cheaper than a shirt?
Less than half, same price as a shirt. So you get a free shirt when you're a diehard. I'm wearing the Texas Diehard shirt today.
Is that one Rad's favorite?
I think he likes the Texas Chew.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he just got this one. But anyway, these shirts are great. Store.allcitynetwork.com. Hats are coming soon. We keep asking about the hats. My Hall of Fame hat is starting to show some wear and tear. So I could use a refresh on the hat side. So when those get here, that'll just be more money out of my pocket. Monarch Money can help me with that. But right now, store.allcitynetwork.com, I am officially 15 shirts, 2 sweatshirts. So
you definitely have the most. I think Owen might have the second most.
Okay, well, Rangers are better than Stars. All right.
Oh, all right. All right, we're going to keep it moving. Hey, we've got a question in the chat. Misty.
All kinds of questions. Yes.
When did Jeff get his first Hall of Fame ballot?
My first Hall of Fame ballot was the Pudge Rodriguez year.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it worked out well. I voted for him.
Nice.
And if everybody wants to take a shot at me or not, I always voted for the steroid guys. Not that I'm accusing Pudge of that, but I remember getting an email, I think it was from Joe Morgan that year, saying that there are some people on the ballot and who've gotten into the Hall of Fame who we know use steroids. Well, Joe, nobody knows for sure. But anyway, baseball profited, the Hall of Fame profited from the steroid guys. So I voted for him because you can't be a hypocrite. You can't have your cake and eat it too. All right, you gotta eat the bad cake too. All right, Leon, Nathan Evaldi update. We have done that one. This homestand, early in this homestand, CJ Curvello. Yeah, it sounded like he was going to be the guy that get called up, and they stuck with Chris Martin rather than adding him to the active roster and putting Martin back on the IL. It worked for a game. He's been really, really good. He did not allow a run in May. That's pretty good. He's got like a 1.63 ERA, I think, this year at Round Rock in a pitcher-friendly league, so that's good. He was the Rangers' first free agent signee, even though he had never pitched above Double-A. He got a major league deal. So a lot of teams thought highly of Luis, and he signed with the Rangers. So there you go.
What about Bradford? We didn't. Really
Bradford, he's throwing bullpen sessions. He's nearing live batting practice. He could do that maybe this week, or maybe right when they get home. And if he does that, he's got to do that 2 or 3 times, and then it's rehab assignment. So, you're kind of looking at maybe before the All-Star break if they want to bring him back as a reliever. I mean, he doesn't need to get stretched out that far. He'd probably get stretched out to 3 innings, I think, because he could give them a lot of handy innings out of the bullpen. So Bradford at that point, and Spores is kind of on the same track as Bradford. So you could be talking about 2 pretty good arms coming back to the Rangers bullpen before the All-Star break. John Gray's a little further behind them. And, amid all that kerfuffle, a couple a couple innings a couple weeks ago or earlier this week about Kumar Rocker going to the bullpen. John Gray, let's go ahead and say that he's going to be in the bullpen. He is throwing off a flat ground. I don't know. I didn't see him pitch 2 innings. I don't know that he's been off a mound yet, frankly. The last time we talked to him, he was like, no, I'm just backing up a little bit every now and then. He had not been off a mound yet. And this was as of, let's say, the start of the last homestand. So if he advanced to a bullpen session, it's news to me. And I'm not going to doubt you, but I also doubt that he would have gone out and thrown that many pitches in his first or second bullpen session. But he feels great. He did say that the ligaments around the fracture were a little stiff and sore. So he's dealing with that. But I think he's on board and understands that his fastest way back to the team, and perhaps where he could make the most impact, would be as a relief pitcher.
I think he could do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been so good in the World Series, and then the couple times he's done it, just as...
And it's a longevity plan, if you really think about it.
Well, yeah, and then he becomes a free agent after this year, so it would make it pretty interesting, really. Could he be a starter? Could he be a reliever? He probably would want to be a starter just for financial purposes, but if he could be a badass relief pitcher, hey, who knows?
We know a few.
Yeah, there were some other questions. I saw Uncle Ted, who was talking about Cole Drake. And Ted, I hear you. We talked about Cole Drake. I talked about him with Ross, and also Mitch Bratt, who different left-handers. Bratt is actually having better results than Cole Drake in terms of earned runs and such. Cole Drake is more of a strikeout guy, throws a lot of strikes. Mitch Bratt throws like an incredible amount of strikes and knows how to pitch. So, but neither of those guys is going to be under consideration until they go to AAA. I was told that the Rangers are unlikely to skip a level with them, even though they have some serious questions about their rotation depth right now. Their rotation depth basically is Kumar Rocker, who just got sent down and has to stay down unless there's an injury,
right?
Or Dane Dunning, who isn't on the 40-man. There's Yerson Garabito, who at this point I'm pretty convinced he has compromising photos of Rangers executives, because there's no reason for him to be on the 40-man. He's getting beat around. There's no way that a team would claim him. Yes, he has options, and that's very attractive to get this young guy with a big arm that has options, but he's 29, all right? And there's a reason why he was out of organized baseball for 2 years, all right? He was a nice story last year, but he has like a 9 ERA at AAA. I don't think he's going to get claimed. So, but anyway, that doesn't help. The Rangers have thin rotation depth. I would think that Bratt and Drake could be moved to AAA soon, and that would help their chances of helping the big league club, but not until they pitch in AAA. That's just what I was told.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty smart move. Guess who is about to join the 3,000 club?
Who?
Certain Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, yeah.
Misty, I think, said he's 17 strikeouts away.
Okay.
3,000.
He pitched today, Kershaw did.
Yes. There's currently 19 members. The last to join, Max Scherzer.
Hey, there you go.
21.
All right. Yeah, Max traveled with Toronto. He was at the ballpark the other day. And he would go and talked to Bochy one day, talked to DeGrom one day, and came over and talked to the guys when they were stretching. He's not doing anything. I think he's on the 60-day with this, continued problem. None of us went and talked to him, though, the reporters. And he was a good guy, very helpful. Some people were annoyed by him. I mean, it was basically the same questions over and over again. Max, what's wrong with you? And he gave answers.
He can tell you.
Yeah, he'll tell you. But none of us made time to go see him, which I don't know. I guess I kind of regret at this point because he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And again, he was helpful to us and a good guy. Never said no to us.
Year,
I can't imagine it's not his last year.
Yeah.
Yes, I just
Well, he's doing the chase with Verlander and the
yeah.
strikeouts,
Well, it's not
but
like things are going great for him either,
right.
Verlander. Although I guess he threw like a 30 or 40 pitch live BP the other day and is getting closer to returning to the Giants. I tell you what, speaking of the NL West, Corbin Burns hit the Tommy John surgery. He's got to have Tommy John
Yeah.
surgery. He was a huge signing for the
Yep.
Diamondbacks from Scottsdale, or lives in Scottsdale. They shelled out a lot of money. Pretty creative contract. I think he had options to get out of it, but very clearly he's not going to be getting out of it now, and he's probably not going to be back until late next season, if at all next season. So that's kind of a
blow.
bummer.
Yeah.
He had I don't think he'd ever been on the IL. He'd always made his starts, and so Tommy John got him, and that's too bad.
Yeah,
because you always like to see the best guys on the mound, the best players in the lineup, like Mike Trout being back and being hot is great for baseball. So that kind of stinks, but and that's going to affect the West. I mean that really is the Diamondbacks have pretty good rotation without Burns, but not having him, that when you have to go up against, let's say, I don't know, Logan Webb for the Giants, or if you have to go up against Dylan Cease, or whenever Darvish gets back, or Yamamoto for the Dodgers, who themselves are ravaged by pitching injuries. It just makes it a little bit harder on you to make the postseason. So it's too bad for baseball, too bad for the Diamondbacks if you're a Diamondbacks fan out there. But that's a pretty big blow for the game and for the Diamondbacks.
Also for the NL Central, we mentioned feeling bad for Paul Skeens, but it's true. Today, 7 2/3, 2 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, 7K. He ended up with a no decision. His ERA is now 1.8 on the year.
Yeah.
1 win, last 7 starts, despite having a 1.1 ERA in those 7 starts.
Man,
is he going to win a Cy Young with 2 wins?
I mean, obviously nobody cares about the win anymore, statistically speaking. Pitchers care about it. But you just kind of look at Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom, won a Cy Young with like 11 wins one year, 12 wins. It's ridiculous how well he pitched. Let me get that for sure up here. So yeah, I mean, I think it's possible, but it's not the player's fault that his team his offense is so bad. I mean, maybe we're saying this about Nathan Eovaldi or Jacob deGrom later. Can they win a Cy Young even though they only have 9 wins or whatever? deGrom had a 170 ERA in 2018 and won 10 games.
Yeah.
The next year he won 11 games, won the Cy Young both years. So it's possible for sure, but it's got to be that dominant. And Skeens appears to be headed that way. Man,
it's crazy though.
And the Pirates, kind of, they're kind of like the A's,
like Brandon Aubrey on the Dallas Cowboys.
But they kind of gave you like some false hope. They went out and made some moves, and they've acquired some good young players and have some good young talent, and then they just are kind of spitting the bit here. And they did win today's game, though. They did win that game 2-1 over the Phillies, who are pretty good. But we were kind of led on by them, I think, this year. And the A's too. The A's, I think, beat the Orioles, who are terrible, but the A's have really gone down the drain here. Some of their young guys, like J.J. Bleday, who had the nice year last year, he just got called back up, but it just hasn't worked out for them. And I don't know, just kind of maybe we should all learn our lessons.
Yeah. You would think.
Don't believe in them.
You would think. Misty asked kind of a fun question. Abby, do you have any memories of your dad when he got his 300th career save? I bring this up because it was against the Minnesota Twins.
Ooh.
So it was in September 16th of 2007. I was actually in school. So we would split the season, and we would get out of school early or go to school a little bit late, but we were in school at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember we, as a family, were coming up with a really creative way to celebrate his 300th. So we made like this art project out of baseballs for the 300th.
Oh,
My mom
all right.
flew out to be there for the occasion and whatnot. I was with my grandparents, I believe, when it actually happened. But did happen in Minnesota.
So you were how old in 2007?
That's a lot of math at the moment, Jeff. I'm
9?
going to go with like 9 or 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Elijah's, the prophet, and I are the same age, so
Okay.
his math might be better than mine.
So you weren't just scribbling. You were able to do some stuff.
Do something pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good work.
But yeah. And then Nathaniel Lowe, good to see former Andrew Chafin. Forgot that too.
Yeah, Andrew Chafin.
Baseball is such a small world, you know.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, and Nate Lowe, he looks just kind of like the same guy.
He's going to be a dad this year.
Oh.
He and his wife.
Wow.
Expecting a baby too.
Not wasting any time because they just got married over the off season.
Ago.
Yeah. Well, hey, why waste the time?
Tons of dad strength.
Yeah, he could use a little strength. He's kind of built like me. And that's not a good thing.
Do you think he's an Orange Theory guy?
No, I don't know that he's anything.
Jeff, oh my goodness. Okay. So it's not the middle of summer, but summer started, which means NBA Finals. Oh, overtime. We are going to continue the conversation online. Thank you for joining the DLLS Rangers podcast. Are we good?
We're good. Keep going.
Okay. We'll make this kind of short. Basketball and hockey. Last year, oh my gosh, Elijah and I were working the finals.
Oh,
and
man.
It was a great time, and I'm going to not try to cry. This year, it's the Thunder, the Pacers. Who you got? Currently, the Thunder, they're up 1-0.
No, the Pacers won that game.
Yeah, Pacers,
yeah.
Sorry. Crazy comeback win.
Well, I mean, if when I don't know anything about either team, and I don't really know anything about these guys. I mean, I know some of the names because thanks to the Sleeper app, but I think it boils down to coaching. And Rick Carlisle's a really good coach.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with old Rick Carlisle to win his second title.
You mean Jim Carrey?
A little Jim Carrey. Yeah, I had to cover the Mavs once for the Fort Worth paper, and I introduced myself to him. Said, "Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be covering this team for, covering baseball and Mavs." He goes, "Well, I guess you need my phone number." He just gave me his phone number. So,
wow.
he was very.
What a way to do business.
He was a very very friendly guy in that regard. Easy to cover. Understood what writers have to do. So okay, I'm going to root for him, and I don't like Chet Holmgren. That's that skinny guy.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah, I don't like Chet Holmgren at all. I went to Gonzaga, who I really don't care for. I think they're phony, and I think that
opinions.
I mean he's this tripod is thicker than Chet Holmgren, so I think that I'm against Chet.
All right, Chet. That was Elijah and I are. That was oddly specific, Jeff.
Well, all right.
I'm gonna pull for the Thunder. I came from Bally, and we were Bally Southwest and Oklahoma. So I've watched the Thunder for the last 4 years.
Okay.
Really fun team.
All right.
Really good team. SGA won the MVP. So I'm going to go down that road, although it's not like a rivalry, but it was always a good series matchup with OKC and the Mavs. However, that was pre-Luka. Or that was Luka. So now we're post-Luka, and it's a different vibe.
Well, I guess that Cooper Flag is working out with the Mavs this week.
Hey,
I'm looking forward to that because I think
the Mavs might be God's favorite.
I think he has a chance to be better than Luka. He's just great. He probably doesn't shoot the deep ball as well, but he's a better defender. Like he was the best defensive player in college basketball this year.
Yeah,
and he can do it all. And he's. Do
you want to have your cake and eat it too, Jeff?
I'm just going. That's just how I feel. All right, so I wanted
hockey.
to do this. Oh, sorry.
It's not really
hockey.
Much. Just,
I don't know. I don't know that I care.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the Panthers. A local former Bally employee with Southwest is their team reporter.
Oh,
Katie Ingleson. She just won a ring with them last year.
Yeah.
She'd be 2 for 2.
I like Katie. Always like
Katie's
Katie.
a great girl.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the Panthers there.
She went to Alabama, right?
She went to Bama.
There you go.
All tied.
All right. Jake Berger, after this series, batting .223, .255 on base, .420 slug, .675 OPS, 9 homers, 25 RBIs.
There you go.
Nathaniel Lowe.
Oh, you want to make a point?
No, I'm just comparing them.
Okay.
231, 295, 372, 667, 8 home runs. So advantage very, very, very slightly to Jake Berger if you go by OPS and home runs.
I missed the first part. Was that on specifically the series or
no? That was his overall
season.
Jake Berger has only 6 walks.
Yeah,
that's got to be better. You know, Nate Lowe will draw a walk. But he's struck out more than Jake has as well. So this trade, you know, that seems to be a wash. The Robert Garcia addition makes it advantage Rangers. Plus, they saved a bunch of money. So anyway, that's where that stands, and that's a good way to sign off. Advantage Rangers.
Advantage Rangers. There you go. All right. Thanks for joining us this Sunday. We will be back with you tomorrow, Monday.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.